Welcome back. Now, Eskom and unions have rather met parliamentary committees on a two-day visit to the utility. They've raised concerns that management is ignoring the advice of experienced workers. They also, of course, say that the focus must be on maintaining existing coal power stations. And one of course, those invited at the meeting, NUMSA, is also calling for a qualified, experienced engineer to be appointed its CEO. Let's find out more from the union spokesperson, Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, who joins me this morning just to give us, of course, an update of that particular conversation. Phakamile, always a pleasure talking to you. Good morning to you. And I suppose let's start here. What were your expectations as NUMSA walking into that meeting?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Our experience yesterday, I must say, was quite positive. The portfolio committee was at Eskom to do to interact with Labour. And I must say that the engagements that we had with them, we would say, you know, were rather fruitful. They took us very seriously in terms of the presentation that we made and the proposals that we were making to end load shedding. Among the things that NUMSA stressed when we were in that meeting is that, first and foremost, we felt it was important to explain to members of parliament that load shedding can be resolved. Eskom, in its own reports, has said that the quickest way to end load shedding is to do proper maintenance of the existing original coal fleet. And this is what we stressed to parliamentarians, to say that if there are any other suggestions that are being made around expanding the grid, for example, all of those things are not going to end load shedding. And anyway, those are not going to be viable solutions. What we need is quality maintenance of these coal-fired power stations. But in order for that to happen, we need a GCO who can actually implement this quality maintenance, a GCO who understands intimately how Eskom works and its inner workings. And we explained in detail why Andre de Ruyter, unfortunately, is completely wrong for the job, and why, as an entity, they've been unable to properly maintain these power stations, which has resulted in multiple blackouts. One of the other things we had to also stress to the parliamentarians was to deal with this false narrative that the power stations are old and they must be replaced. That's nonsense. These power stations are viable. They can last for 100 years or more. They just need to be properly maintained. And for example, if you look at the fact that what Germany has done when they reopened their coal-fired power stations, many of those power stations are older than some of the ones that we have here. But they were able to do that in order to substitute and reinforce their energy supply. And the question we were asking parliamentarians is, we don't understand why the Eskom board and the Eskom management is continuing to shut down coal-fired power stations when we desperately need energy. Right. In November, we shut down Komati. We lost 1,000 megawatts. So far, we've lost over 2,200 megawatts. Our key demand is for them to refire those coal-fired power stations so that we can have immediate energy right now.
So with that demand and a few more submissions that you made, what were the outcomes then? And are you satisfied with the response that you received from the power utility?
Well, it is a process where they're engaging with Labour, and then they will have a separate session like they're going to have today, where they're going to engage with the Eskom board and the Eskom management based on the things that we have raised in our presentation. They have invited Labour to come to that session to be able to experience that engagement. They felt that they were very empowered by the information that we've given them, because the fact of the matter is that a lot of the information around Eskom's problems, we believe as NUMSA, there's not been a lot of honesty, certainly from the side of Eskom management and board, about how to resolve this. One of the things, for example, that we were at pains to stress is this false narrative that renewable energy independent power producers are going to end load shedding. That's just not true. If you are serious about ensuring that you've got regular energy supply, yes, in your energy mix, you can have renewable energy, but you still need reliable baseload power in the form of coal or nuclear. Now, South Africa has an abundance of coal, so it absolutely makes no sense that we should be convinced to stop utilizing coal when we so desperately need it right now in order to guarantee regular energy supply so that we can build our economy.
Yeah.
This is not something that we can take as a light matter. Load shedding is having a devastating impact on our economy. We're losing 2 trillion as a result of that. Patients are dying in hospitals. I mean, we are really living in an absurd reality at the moment, and it requires serious political will at the highest level, at the level of the president, for us to resolve this and to resolve it quickly.
And Phakamile, for that reason, you stating that this is it's a matter not to be taken lightly. Did that inform your decision as NUMSA as well as other civil society in approaching the North Gauteng court out in Pretoria, seeking that court intervention when it comes to these blackouts, when it comes to load shedding? For that reason, saying livelihoods are affected, they're impacted, our economy is impacted. Did that inform, that decision being taken by yourself?
Absolutely. Primarily because even though we are a trade union organized in Eskom, we're being ignored by the Eskom management when we make these proposals and these suggestions about how they can resolve this crisis. And this is the other thing that we raised with the parliamentarians, to say there's a structure at Eskom where we're supposed to consult each other, even on critical issues like this. But the board of Eskom and the executive management have dismissed us as Labour. And so how do they expect to resolve this without any support or working together with Labour? That already tells you the depth of the problem that we have. At the end of the day, workers are the ones who are keeping the lights on at Eskom. It's not the CEO. It's not the COO. It's not the chairperson of the board. It's ordinary workers, our members, who are on the ground, who are fighting to keep these lights on every single day. They are frustrated at the fact that their efforts are being thwarted by senseless decisions like shutting down units in coal-powered fire stations prematurely, whilst people abuse the term just transition. I mean, I think we need to be absolutely clear that what we're going through in South Africa is not a just transition. When you prematurely shut down coal-fired powered stations that result in continuous excessive load shedding, which threatens jobs, when these power stations are going to be replaced by privately owned renewable energy, costing hundreds of thousands of families in Mpumalanga jobs, that is not a just transition. That is colonialism. And it's colonialism brought in by the green energy capitalists. And as NUMSA, we outright reject that.
Right.
We reject the privatization of energy generation. It's not going to assist in our goals as a country. We're a developing nation. We've got the highest inequality in the world. We do need a state-owned entity that can supply regular electricity cheaply for business and for the masses so that we can actually develop ourselves.
All right.
And this is what we stressed to the parliamentarians yesterday.
We leave it there, and I appreciate you speaking to me. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, NUMSA spokesperson, thank you so much for your time, of course, giving us those reflections just after their meeting with the Public Enterprises and Mineral Resource Portfolio Committee alongside Eskom, joined as well by other unions such as NUM and Solidarity.